Okay, I guess we could get started. So things are coming along. I thought today, first, Alex could talk about the work that he's doing for creating a Nostr relay with spaces support, and then after that, Buffer could talk about the work on subspaces design. Alex, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So we plan to have a Nostr relay that supports identifying posts and any other kind of events via space, like filtering them. And basically, that's the whole idea. Right now, it's possible to have an event signed by space, but there is no relay that will understand it, and so I'm working on it.
And we expect to release it in a week or so. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I hope so. The next week there will be the initial release, something like that around it.
Okay. And is there? You had mentioned something about a NIP, creating a NIP for it.
Yes, we'll have to create a NIP that will specify the standard for space for the whole Nostr protocol to have a proper filtering by them, and so it will be possible to identify user via the space tag and to get their posts and use them as a handle. And I think we will have to have one big chunky NIP, or maybe split them in several ones. And yeah, but definitely we'll work on them.
So this would allow it to, instead of sharing like your inpub so that people can follow you on Nostr, you could just share Mike at Bitcoin?
Yes, you will be able to create an event, and then you publish it to Nostr relay. And after that moment, if somehow you tell other users that to download this event, after that they will be able to identify your posts with just your space handle. And this initial event that binds your identity with a space, it's already present. It can be done with spaces daemon, and the rest that is needed that I'm working on is to make the Nostr relay be able to understand and to properly show it. And after we will have the initial release of relay, we will standardize it and create a NIP.
Okay, cool. And so does this work with top-level spaces and subspaces, or is it just top-level spaces first?
I think it's a good question for Buffer.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's a good segue. Buffer, you wanna?
Yeah, so we will have to update Fabric once we're done with the subspaces so that it can accept zones or Nostr events assigned with subspaces. But yes, of course, I mean, we plan to support subspaces in Fabric. So the design for subspaces is coming along, and it's it's a lot simpler than what we had initially thought about, and it's essentially just giving names, human readable names to public keys. Operators could create batches of the names they plan to register. Let's say you want to register Mike at Bitcoin and a bunch of thousands of other subspaces. So you put all those names in a tree, and that tree like you get the hash of it and you commit that on chain. So it doesn't matter how many subspaces you issue, you only create like 32 bytes per commitment, and there's like no metadata that we need to store on chain, so it's very efficient, and you would be able to like issue lots of like subspaces very fast, and people just get like an ownership proof to prove that like they own a specific name, and that specific name is bound to a public key that they control. And for most people, they never need to do any kind of on-chain interaction. They never need to trust the operator at all. So like as soon as they get their certificate, that's all they need. And then they could like sign Nostr events, update their records, and it will get and they could submit them on Fabric. And that's how people could like discover their handle. So yeah, and if if for some reason, like of course there will be like some high value subspaces that would need to like some interactive functionality, like listing them on like a secondary marketplace, and with this design, you essentially create like a UTXO binding, which is very cheap. So you could bind like multiple subspaces in like a single transaction, and then you could create a PSPT to list them on like a secondary marketplace to like sell or transfer. And also with this design, like the ZK proofs stay off chain, the certificate stays off chain. Like so, it's very efficient, and it should have like a very minimal off-chain, like on-chain footprint. So it should be very scalable. And that's, I guess, what we will be working on like in the next like 2 months. I mean, the current design doesn't like support like having some sort of renewal. So like the binding that you issue and that you get as a certificate, you essentially own forever. I mean, and I guess this like makes more sense for like a sovereign handle because it's yours and yours forever. But if for like some reason, some at least some operators like want a renewal model, like the protocol itself is very like extensible, so perhaps we could support that as a feature later in the future without needing to do like any sort of like hard fork or anything. Like it could just be extended and like added as a feature. But for now, like the focus is just to keep it simple and support this like functionality, which is like giving like sovereign names to people that they can use.
Cool. If I am, I have a question. If I am a subspace owner, if I want to go on chain, what fees will I have to pay? Like I will pay for a new UTXO that holds, let's say the root of Merkle tree, and yeah. So what will be the fee?
Yeah, so you'll pay about 32 bytes of on-chain fees. It's just the cost of your secret pub key being a UTXO on-chain. And I would imagine like people could offer like a service. So you don't have to make your own like transaction. So you could pay someone else to like create the UTXO binding for you. And the way that they could save more on fees is by like batching multiple UTXO binds in a single transaction. So the fees are going to be like very, very small to create this binding on chain. Yeah, maybe like I guess at the current fees, it's like just a couple of cents. Maybe later it would be like a little bit more in a couple of years, but it will continue to be very cheap.
That sounds great.
How different would it be to like right now on spaces.market, you can just buy a top level space easily with using the spaces CLI. How different is it to buy? Would it be to buy a subspace?
So the only difference is like to like offer like a subspace for sale is you also have to upload the certificate to the marketplace. But yeah, that's pretty much the only difference because it will be like the same sale transaction. So, but the certificate itself will continue to be like the genesis proof for the creation of this subspace. So it will need to continue to be referenced off chain because it does not exist on chain, and we don't even want it to be there.
Okay, so if someone was selling their subspace, they could create a transaction in the same. They could create a like that JSON.
Yeah.
They could create a similar JSON listing, and then somebody could use the command to buy it. But where would the certificate be? Would it come before or after the
So let's say you get Market Bitcoin and you have your certificate and you want to sell it. So you upload your certificate to the marketplace and you create the same, like a similar JSON file to the one that we have for Spaces. And the buyer would essentially verify your certificate is correct and just download it and complete the sale transaction. And then they would own Market Bitcoin.
Okay. So there's no risk like sharing that certificate?
No, the certificate is meant to be public, so anyone could see it.
Okay.
It's just a path to like the public key itself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And does this probably ties in to my next question, which is when let's say somebody buys a subspace like Mike at Bitcoin, and so I get a certificate. How can I verify self-sovereign ownership of Mike at Bitcoin?
Yeah. So the at Bitcoin space will have like a chain of 3 roots stored by the client, and the certificate will have to validate against one of those 3 roots. But I mean, this will of course be handled by the software itself, by like Space D. So the user will just like there will be like a space CLI command to like verify the ownership, and it will not even let you buy the subspace if the certificate is not valid, of course.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or want to add anything? If so, I think raise your hand. Or give some indicator, a request to speak, and I will let you speak. At Bitcoin wanted.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, so that Nostr relay, that sounds like great news. And I was going to ask about the subspaces on spaces.market. So that's also great news. We'll be able to list subspaces on spaces.market. And did I hear that correctly, that the subspaces never expire, but the top level spaces do expire?
No, I think it depends. Yeah, sorry.
Yes. So top-level spaces do expire, but it will not affect like the subspaces themselves.
Okay. Do the subspaces also expire as well or not?
They don't. So you get like curious at Bitcoin and you own it forever. It doesn't matter what happens to the parent. Like your ownership will be like proven, and you wouldn't have to care about that as a subspace owner.
So would that mean that it's better to own the subspaces then because you don't have to renew them? Or what if you are self-sovereign with the subspace, you take it on chain, then you will have to pay to keep that UTXO? Is that correct?
Well, you still don't have to renew it. Yeah. For most people, like subspaces are better because they don't expire. I mean, really, the whole point of like the top level spaces is to create like multiple operators, so that you are not like censors. So like as a user, you have like multiple options, like to get a subspace. Like instead of having like one centralized like a party that's responsible for issuing them. But yeah, I mean the point of spaces is to like have operators or like businesses that operate them. So there's like some sort of like a stricter requirement on spaces. But as a subspace owner, I mean for most people it's much better to like get a subspace because it doesn't expire.
Yeah, that makes the subspaces sound even more valuable. So now for the top level spaces, I remember in the last monthly, you were saying about how we can renew multiple top level spaces with the CLI interface just separated by a space. Is there a maximum amount that we could renew at once? Could we renew 1,000 top level spaces at once? And the more we renew in one command, will that increase the transaction? I think you said 32 bytes per top level space.
Yeah, I mean you could probably renew more than 1,000, but you're limited by like I guess the block size of Bitcoin, which is like well, not exactly the entire block size. You're limited by like 1 megabyte plus. Yeah, so you could renew a lot, but you need to do some math to figure out. You could technically fill the entire block with like a renewal for spaces, but you need to do some math to figure out like the maximum amount. But yeah, you could renew like lots of spaces in a single transaction.
Okay, that's cool. And it would just be more V-bytes, so it would just be more Bitcoin you would have to pay.
Yeah, exactly. The more you add, like the more you have to pay because the transaction size will increase.
Okay, and is it worth doing that multiple at a time rather than doing one at a time? Will you save on fees? Let's say you had 10 and you wanted to renew all 10 at once. Would that save versus doing 10 separate renewals?
Of course, yeah, because there's some overhead to like creating the transaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions from me. Will we be able to make offers on spaces.market or the Explorer page? So if someone puts something up for sale, is there a way or is it going to be possible that we can go in there and maybe bid on a currently existing name? Like, oh, you have @Bitcoin. I'd like to buy that from you, or just make an offer on it?
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, it's doable. Maybe we could support that at some point. Maybe it's not like the top priority right now, but once we're done with the critical stuff, maybe we could focus on things like that.
Okay. And about the Akron wallet, when can we expect to see that come out for Windows?
Yeah, so this should be very soon. There are a couple of PRs that we want to merge so that we could release the Spaces 008. and Acron will come with the most recent Spaces version. So this should be very soon. There is a binary that exists for Windows right now that you could try, or you could just wait and like maybe in about a week, and we will have like the Windows release.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just trying to think of ways to increase adoption, and a lot of people have Windows, so I think that's a huge area of opportunity. Get the Acron wallet out for Windows. People can start downloading that, start bidding, start doing things with the marketplace. I think that will really help with adoption.
Yeah, that makes sense. We will get that done.
All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys for all your work.
Thanks, Curious. Anyone else? Okay, give it a few more minutes if anybody else wants to chime in. But yeah, so at bitcoin.com, we are allowing people to make reservations for at Bitcoin names, but it's not ready to actually give out the certificates so that people can own them yet, but until Subspaces is ready. But we have already seen a lot of interest in that so far, so I think it's a good sign for things for the future. And hopefully at Bitcoin will be a way to onboard a lot of people into spaces. That's our goal. So
by the way, I got Buffer at Bitcoin, but I don't have a t-shirt yet.
Okay, I'll send you one. Yeah, if anybody wants a t-shirt, let me know.
Yeah, that
I
sounds.
do want those.
You want t-shirts? Okay, yeah, just send me a message. I just need to know where to send it, and I will get that out for you. So just let me know.
Yeah, that'll be good for marketing with the app Bitcoin. Is there anything else you have going on that maybe you could share? I saw that you got that one article with the Acron wallet. You're from Acron, I guess, and that was good. Anything else coming up with that PR group?
There's some podcast interviews that should be out soon, and some more that are coming up. So yeah, we got a little bit of that. But yeah, I'll post them to the Telegram when they're released.
Okay, great. Yep, I'll just repost everything, share it all.
Okay, this sounds good. Thanks. And then yeah, Evan is releasing the ID. I don't know if Evan, if you wanted to talk about that or not, but that's exciting also. Hopefully that will help to onboard a lot of people to spaces.
Yeah, I saw that at ID. That's a really good space.
Yeah. All right. Wait here. I think, let's see, somebody's requesting. Evan. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I was just waiting to learn a little bit more about the architecture and design to put some more updated copy on the site. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm also I also want to like give that space a philanthropic mission. And I'm like in the final stages of deciding what that is. So, it won't just be it'll have some sort of tie-in to uh, what I think the direction I'm going right now is uh, privacy online. So, supporting privacy online and funding maybe some cryptographic research and stuff through the purchases that get made of those names. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, so I did have one question actually about the technical design of subspaces. So, it's interesting that like it almost seems like that subspaces are sort of divorced from any once they're issued, uh, there's effectively like no tie-in to the records that are set on the space, the top level space. It's like its own independent thing. So it's safe to say that space owners really all they're doing is just gating new issuance of subspaces, right? Like after that, it's almost like it operates as a top level space at that point. Anything that's been issued in the past. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, they're sovereign handles, so they have to be sovereign. So yeah. So I guess that you could put it that way. I guess that's fair.
Yeah, it's almost like it has, other than the fact that it shares that name, there's really no relationship. After you issue it, it's its own independent sovereign thing. That's cool. That's cool. So it's really like the space owner's just sort of the gate. And then whoever that is at any given point in time controls that gate.
Yeah, I mean, the space owner has like a lot of responsibility. They have to do like the commitments correctly. Otherwise, they essentially break the space. So if they make like an invalid commitment, they could potentially prevent even new owners from like issuing subspaces. Um, um, yeah, because So or they could even like hurt themselves by like um, not being able to prove that like the subspaces that they're issuing did not exist in any previous commitments. And that's what the ZK stuff do. But if you like just submit like garbage commitments and the core client will like store them into the chain of like cryptographic proofs, then so the operator will have like some responsibility in the way they issue those subspaces. But yeah, other than that, like as a subspace owner, as long as you get your certificate, you're good to go. And all the, I guess, responsibility and complexity falls on the business owner or the operator responsible for the space.
Got it. But that doesn't impact any previously issued spaces. It's only like a future consideration.
Correct. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
as
Okay.
as a subspace holder, you get your certificate. There is nothing that can be done to like revoke it. It's yours forever, and that's cool.
I suppose you just like purely hypothetically speaking, because it seems implausible, but if it's on like you said that the first design for this, it runs on top of a distributed hash table. Right. So I guess if every node in that network went down, then that's the only way you could lose your subspace, right? Or is that not accurate?
No. So Fabric is the distributed hash table. it just enables discovery. So even if Fabric is dead, even if Fabric doesn't even exist, you could prove to anyone that you own the subspace. But Fabric just enables discovery.
Okay, so you can publish it on the internet. Doesn't matter. It's just that'd just be an additional discovery, an additional way of discovery.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
that's cool. Yeah, I initially was a little bummed that the design didn't incorporate any sort of, you know, registration loop, but because really what I was planning on doing was doing something like a registration term in the hundreds of years, and really I'm concerned about like situations where someone buys a brand name like Disney at ID and then loses the key and it's gone forever, and now there's no way Disney's ever going to be able to use ID or at Bitcoin for that matter. But thinking through it, the same thing could happen on, like, effectively 500 years is infinite, right? Like no human alive, no, everyone's going to be dead in 5 that's currently alive on planet Earth. So like if I did a term of 500 years or something like that, it would be effectively the same situation. Like, so the more I thought about it, the more I thought like not really that big of a deal, I guess. The same risk applies.
I mean,
anyway.
yeah, that's understandable. But I mean, there's like a limit of 3,500 spaces a year, so there will always be like cool handles. But yeah, I guess if you get Disney at ID and you essentially like die, then no one will ever be able to own Disney at ID, and I get that, and maybe that's not like so important, given that given like the sovereignty guarantees that it offers to like most people, and maybe that's okay. But yeah, I mean, part of it is like keeping things simple. I mean, we could probably support a way that makes like certificates expire. But then you'd have to be like at the mercy of the operator to like extend your certificate. So there's like always like some kind of a trade-off, and we'd have to pick like the correct trade-off for like most people.
Yeah, I think yeah, right now our first priority is making sure that things are like self-sovereign, cypherpunk, 100% that follows those ideals. That's our first priority. But in the future, I would love it if top-level spaces have options and they can be different things, and so people can do different things and for different needs and stuff. So maybe there will be a way in the future to for an operator to like have renewals, like you have to renew every year or something like that, and maybe some people will have needs for that, like Disney or whatever, or I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I think having the options is or I think breaking it up into top level spaces and subspaces helps make that something like that available in the future, and give options and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, for what it's worth, like the like direction I was going with ID anyway was aligned with the cypherpunk idea. I sort of see it just the name itself, I feel like aligns with that. Just the vibe, I guess I would say. But I definitely have other spaces where I would think of them less like that, like at me, for example. I think that can be just a fun sort of ephemeral type thing that I don't think needs to have cypherpunk qualities or, whatever. So, yeah, it's good. We'll see what the future holds, I guess.
So yeah, so idsubspace.com, that's where you can reserve @ID names.
All
right,
these, real quick, sorry. All these talks about the subspaces. How do we issue the subspaces? That information hasn't been released yet, has it?
We will release like a SIP, which is like a spaces improvement proposal at some point. We have a draft right now, but we will do it. And we will of course support it in the have some tools to issue subspaces and create transactions for the commitments.
and yeah, just to give a general time frame for that, we're hoping in the next 2 or 3 months, and I think there will be I think Buffer can talk more about this, but I think we'll have to have a soft fork and probably 1 month of testing on testnet 4 before release, going live with subspaces.
Can we run the testnet at the same time we run the production spaces? The current version? Or does it overwrite?
Oh yeah, it will be if you run space D on testnet, it will use a different port. So you could run both at the same time.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Still, you will need to win an auction to have a space there. Spaces are not shared between them.
Yeah, so you create a wallet, you connect to testnet 4, you get some funds from one of the faucets. I think mempool.space has faucets. So you could register a space and then play with subspaces once we get them done.
And so, yeah, and one other thing we're also working on along with all this is a mobile wallet that will be focused more on subspaces. So you could manage your subspaces on that.
That's going to be huge too. Will we be able to buy and sell subspaces through that mobile wallet on the market?
Yes, of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, the mobile app should at least let you submit things to the marketplace, and hopefully we will have more than just one marketplace, so people have different options.
Yeah, that's cool. Are we able, if we have can just anyone create a marketplace?
Technically, yes. I mean, it's permissionless, so anyone could write one.
Yeah, all our marketplace does is just store the JSON for the transaction, to sell a name. So yeah, anybody could do that. Just allow people to submit the JSON transactions so that people could buy.
So if that's the case, then that would mean that, let's say I did spin up a marketplace, it would be totally fresh. It wouldn't have any of the listings of spaces.market, right? Because that's unique to that specific site.
Yeah, unless you scraped it and took it off. I mean, you could.
All right, well, that's cool. Yeah, I like the whole cypherpunk, permissionless ethos. That's right. Bitcoin, I mean, that's the best way to do it. I really think this is the best, and it has the best chance of taking off.
Thanks. Yeah, that's what we're going for. Yeah, it's been the main thing. I mean, it's doing it 100% cypherpunk. So, all right. Does anybody else have anything to say or have any questions?
Account blocked and canceled. I had to go scrambling for another one. But this is Andrew at Bitcoin. And thanks for the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And unexpected, and that was nice. And one question that came up in my mind, and I think I know the answer, but I think it would be important for the community to kind of understand in case it comes up as you're discussing this, and that is with the if you're the NOTS Bitcoin implementation seems to be rising in popularity for those folks that are not interested in having a lot of extra data in their Bitcoin node. Does NOTS itself interfere with anything about the Spaces protocol?
It does not. So as long as there are Bitcoin Core miners, yeah. So I'm not sure what Bitcoin knots limit the op return to, but we need 65 bytes. I think they allow that. So even if all the nodes are run Bitcoin knots, we should be fine.
Right.
Yeah. And
that was my understanding as well,
yeah.
that while the op return limit has been lifted in Bitcoin Core, and NOTS has filters that allow you to set that to be reduced, I don't think you can even, and I would have to confirm this, I don't think you can reduce the op return size to 0 in NOTS. I think it would make sense to me that it would be allowed to go back to the 80 byte limit that was traditionally, which would then, and you're fitting in that, so it would have no material effect in my thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, even if like Bitcoin knots like disables op return entirely, like even if they had like a 0, if there is at least like a couple of Bitcoin Core miners, then that should be fine for the auctions at least. But as long as like someone mines those transactions, then Bitcoin knots is forced to accept them. And for subspaces, we don't even use op return. There's like 0 metadata. Yeah, just the secret pub keys. So we should be fine. Like even if most people use Bitcoin knots, we should be fine. And I mean, we try to keep like a very, very small like on-chain footprint. So we should be okay with whatever Bitcoin knots does.
Right. And I guess my anticipation was to anticipate somebody saying, oh, well, Spaces protocol is cool and all, but it's going to become less and less useful as the number of people running knots increases. And if somebody was to pose that as a argument, the answer to that is like, no, it's, even if it did completely remove data storage and op return, it wouldn't prevent Spaces protocol from working, and it's not even going to do that. So yeah, it's a false argument.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just kind of thinking it's been a lot in the discussion of the Bitcoin dev community, and kind of a contentious thing. The other thing I was going to ask is, in thinking on like, how do we kind of promote adoption? One is I missed the first couple minutes, but I heard Alex talking about his Nostr implementation and support for Spaces. I've always thought that one of the potential vulnerabilities with Nostr is that specifying the relays with DNS names is a vulnerability if your adversary wanted to disrupt DNS, and if you had a Nostr client that was smart enough to understand spaces resolution, you could also add space A records to a subdomain spaces name, or a subspace name, I should say, and avoid that potential vulnerability. So that was one of the things. And the other thing is, so have kind of a Nostr client and relay combination that could demonstrate spaces functionality. The other one is a browser. I know that you guys have history of writing your own browser. Would that be an easy way to encourage people to say, hey, check out this browser. It understands spaces. It allows you to get to websites and other things that are identified with spaces and subspaces and that you can't get to from normal browsers. And that would kind of give like a single download, no configuration sort of option. If they don't like what they see, they just delete the application. Any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, like one of the Nostr apps would eventually support spaces. So what Alex is working on is essentially creating like a discovery relay. So if you have like a Nostr and pub, like traditionally, you would need to know like which relays host content for that npub. And with Fabric, you could essentially like query, like I think it's called nib65, and you could query like a nib65 type event to find the relay list for a given pub key. Yeah, so what Alex is working on is essentially enabling like discovery for any Nostr and pub. Even if you don't use like spaces, you could publish your relay lists on Fabric. But if you do, you could also publish your space name or subspace name. And then you could discover the npub and the relay list that publishes for that npub. Yeah.
Kind of like NIP05 does.
Yeah.
Using DNS and web servers.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it would be cool like if a Nostr app like starts to support spaces. I think that would be great for adoption. But yeah, I mean, someone could write a browser. I'm not sure if it's like the best thing to like focus on right now, especially for us, like as a like we're trying to build like subspaces and we're trying to build like the relay stuff. I mean, if someone decides to like write some kind of a browser app for spaces, then that's great. But for now, it won't be like our like top priority. Maybe
Sure.
at some point, yeah. Maybe at some point we like write a PR to Brave if they're willing to like accept like a very like nice PR for to add like spaces integration into Brave. Then that would be cool too. But yeah, but I guess it would not like drain our resources as much as having to like maintain a whole browser like as a small company. It just doesn't make sense right now. Maybe
yeah, I understand. And even my thinking through it, I kind of question whether, okay, so you create this other browser. It's called the Akron browser or something like that. And like, okay, now you got a new problem. It's like, how do you make people aware of it, why it's different, and encourage them to download it? I mean, that's a big lift, especially in a world where there's just gazillions of browsers that are available already. It's like, how do you cut through that space? So yeah, it's just a thought. I mean, it would be kind of for the more motivated to explore sort of set type of person. I guess the only other question was any other thoughts around enhancing the existing DNS resolution mechanism so that spaces are resolved just by the very nature of having your machine resolved?
Yeah, I mean,
first, and if it fails, then falls back to the normal DNS.
yeah, I mean, I guess we would have to like think about this more. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you tried like a couple of like different schools, right?
Yeah, I tried a couple things.
Maybe we could like discuss this more. I mean, I guess it depends on the way we like plan to like define the syntax. Like, do we use those spaces, or do we just try to like use the @ symbol, but then it would not necessarily like work out of the box in browsers?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's like more to discuss there. Maybe we
Yeah.
could revisit this after we're done with subspaces.
Yeah, I think it's good, and it's not even then. If you say, okay, great, we've created a DNS sort of proxy server that understands this, then the next problem you have is like, okay, how do you convince people to like install it, configure their machine to point to it, or install it on on their gateway or their router, such that DHCP issues the first DNS resolver as the one that's the proxy. There's like a whole litany of issues. It's not going to be easy, even if the technology exists. It's not just going to be like, one click install easy kind of stuff. It's only going to work in a more sophisticated sort of scenario, which again is another heavy lift when you're talking about, just the consumer public just doesn't. I mean, if you ask them to get into their router, their gateway that their ISP provided, and make changes, that alone is probably a showstopper. Most people wouldn't even know how to even start doing that. But yeah, anyway, something to think about, and we can pick it up after subspaces is more solidified. And yeah, any help in the testing or perspective of that, I'm happy to volunteer there.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we'll have like a period on like to do a lot of tests on like testnet 4, so it would be like valuable for like people from the community to like try subspaces and like play with them and see what we could improve. That would be great.
Awesome. Thanks for all the hard work.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I guess, yeah, that's all the time we have today. So thanks everybody for joining, and we'll talk to you next month. In the meantime, join us on the Telegram group. Talk to you guys later. See ya.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.